Another check, we can't pay the traffic expenses, but we are paying $3,000 towards the traffic. And I have to say that from practically every team, there were creative ideas that we're looking at incorporating into the mission in one way or another. And when this mission happens, okay, many of you will see some stuff in it that you look at that and you say, hey, we contributed that. And that is really something you can take with you. So congratulations to all of you. Okay, so now it's my turn. All right, so here you have it. This is a doable mission, and it's now, frankly, a bit more doable, both with the contributions that some of you have made and also with some new thinking from Inspiration Mars around the 2021 opportunity. And the hardware will be ready, SLS will be ready, Orion will be ready, Falcon Heavy will be ready, Dragon will be ready. There's a lot of ways to do this if we can get the nation to commit to do it. And here you have a space program today in this country that is adrift, that has no objective for its human spaceflight program. That if you look at it right now, what are we going to be doing 10 years from now in space that we're not doing now? And there's nothing there. And as Tabor pointed out, that imperils the program that they have. How rational is it to continue to develop the SLS if there's no missions for it? Or Orion, which is explicitly not to deliver, it could deliver astronauts to the space station, but it's way over-designed for that purpose. It's designed for a purpose, to go out and explore space. If we can make this happen, we can have a space program that is going somewhere, finally. And that's what we have to do. And the international situation, which is, for the most part, unfortunate right now, nevertheless, because we are going into another Cold War, okay, I can't say I want it, I don't, but it's there, and it does create an opportunity, because now, once again, the space program is going to have to perform for the nation, as it did during Apollo. Space station, this nation has got to start turning it on, and the space program has got to start playing its part. Okay? And we have to astonish the world again with what free people can do. Everybody remembers where they were when we landed on the moon. Well, I'll tell you where I was when we landed on the moon. I was in Leningrad when we landed on the moon. Okay. And that was something to remember. Now, but I'll tell you, all the Russians that I knew, they were not freaked out by it. Punched me on the shoulders. Молодец. That right. It's like, they got it. They really did get it, and the leaders must have been having kittens. But they got it. And everybody behind the Iron Curtain got it. Okay, they got it. They got it. And it did. Apollo did do what Kennedy wanted it to do when he started it. Okay? It did astonish the world with what free people could do. It did tell people who had the path forward to the future. And here we are in a world today where, you know, there's those who doubt freedom. There's those who say it's the weaker horse. You know, there's different factions out there, Islamists, fascists, and so forth, and this one and that. And yet, and there's those who say that America, you know, you had a good run, but now there's people with very authoritarian or totalitarian ideas of what the future should look like, and they're the ones who are going to put their stamp on the future. But we have to show that's not the way. To the people in between, to the waverers who are wondering which way to go, we got to show them which one's the strong horse. Okay? And there are going to be people in serious political positions who are going to look at the space program and say, okay, this country's got to start showing what it's got. You have to start showing what you've got, okay? Because that's your role. That's what you got to do. And this is a chance to do it. What could do it better than this? To go to Mars. That's right. There's two kinds of people in the world, those with the metric system and those who've walked on the moon. That's about it. Okay. Well, we got to make it happen. Okay. And this is what? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I steal from the best. And well. So we got to put this on the agenda, and this is the role of the Mars Society. We got to do a lot of things. We got to support this thing directly, and we got to do other things to make it clear to people that Mars, the American space program needs a definite goal, and that goal should be humans to Mars. Okay. So there's direct activity for this, and then there's all the other things that we do to put Mars in front of the public, to make them know that this is the challenge of our time, you know, to show them that. And, you know, and of course, part of that is the activity at the stations. We've got the Mars Desert Research Station, okay, and the Arctic Station. And between the two stations, do you realize at this point over 900 people have been members of one crew or another? And we've been covered in the leading press of over 40 countries. I mean the leading press, okay, including, of course, the United States. It's been covered in the New York Times. It's been covered on CNN, all that. Okay, but it's also been covered by the BBC, and it's been covered by NTV in Russia, and it's been covered by Japanese public television, and it's been covered in the leading media in China. Okay, and then, of course, we want to do this thing in the Arctic, the Mars Arctic 365 mission. This is our most challenging thing that we have attempted to date. To take 6 people and put them in our Flashline Mars Arctic Research Station at 75 North, 900 miles from the North Pole, on the largest completely uninhabited island in the world, Devon Island. It's as big as Ireland. Okay, no one lives there. Polar bears don't even live there. Okay? They come to visit, unfortunately, but they don't live there. Okay, and it's a polar desert with a meteor crater in it, and an impact has created shock terrain in the permafrost, and all kinds of geological phenomena that is believed to mirror that which exists on Mars, which is why NASA has been there a number of times in order to explore Mars through geological comparisons. But we're up there to use this place as a duplicate of Mars to learn about the exploring process itself, okay? To do a sustained program of field exploration there while operating under all the constraints that we can impose on the crew within the limits of our resources. They have to explore this area as if they were on Mars. So nobody can go outside without wearing spacesuits, and they got to do their field exploration under that impairment. And they got to do their lab work inside the hand with the equipment there, operating in a telescience collaboration with our remote science team in the United States. This is a new way of doing science. Geologists do not do geology on Earth using telescience, okay? They go out, they collect the samples, they bring it back to the lab, they work it up for 6 months, and then they submit a paper to the journal, and a year later it's published. That's not how we're going to do it on Mars, okay? They're not going to go to Mars, come back, and then submit a paper, and everyone will find out a year later, you know, assuming the peer reviewers accept their findings. They're going to be an active, ongoing collaboration, telescience, with the larger scientific resources back home. And similarly, the engineering, NASA already does tele-engineering. Okay, that's, you know, so the problem happens on the space station or Apollo 13, and the astronauts who are, you know, good fixers of things, but nevertheless they don't have all the expertise of mission control, and they work it out in collaboration. Okay? So, but we have to do telescience too, and tele-engineering. So we have to do the engineering, the science, then do the chores of daily life, and then get along with each other. You know, if you were to compare this to Mars 500, which many of you have heard about, okay, in which they had 6 people in a room in Moscow for 500 days and testing their response under conditions of isolation. This received a great deal of attention, and that's fine. But all these people were sitting in a room for 500 days playing chess, and not very well. And if it had been an all-Russian crew, they probably would have done better in that respect. But nevertheless, they were not under any stress. They were not trying to get field science done. They were not in an environment that was dangerous. They were not putting up with bulky equipment. They were not planning a scientific expedition only to find out that just that morning, you know, the ATV batteries had gone dead, and now it has to be postponed, and somebody has to deal with this. And whose fault was it? Okay, because that's where you get the interpersonal conflict, when things are going wrong, okay, and things are difficult. And, you know, in a Mars habitat, even if you had effective water recycling, you have to limit the amount of water, because you can't use water the way we use it here in the suburbs with 5-minute showers and all this kind of thing. Okay, you know, sponge bath every other day, maybe a Navy shower once a week, minimizes the burden on the recycling system. But then you're a little bit grungy and so forth, and you're dealing with that under conditions of hard work and tension and all the rest of this kind of thing. It's under these conditions that you could find out how much you can limit water use, not if you're just in a comfortable situation. And isolation is not simply a matter of being put in a room and denied the right to go to the movies. Okay, what isolation is the inability to make easy contact with the life support system that we all have here on Earth, which consists of 7 billion people working in a vast division of labor that can give you any product you want fairly quickly, provided you have money. Okay? In other words, you have all that at your disposal, anything you need, okay, in the way of equipment, health support, whatever, it's all there for you. Okay? The people in Mars 500, if they really got into trouble, could have just walked out and gone to the medical center or whatever, or you know, the police were right there in case some trouble had happened. They were not isolated from civilization. Not. Now, On Devon Island, we're not as isolated as you would be on Mars, that is true. But if you do have a medical problem, you might be able to get a twin otter in that day, but more likely it'll take 3 days, and it might take a week. And certainly there are no police. You are, to a fair extent, on your own. And so the tension that comes with isolation, the real tension that comes with isolation, is not having immediate access to the help of 7 billion people. Okay? And so to some extent that's it. So this mission, we do it, we'll learn a lot scientifically about the mission, about Mars missions, because it is a dress rehearsal. And if you've ever done drowning, you know you learn a lot about what's going to work in the play when you do a dress rehearsal. Really. Okay.